Hi everyone and welcome to Jungle Scout's Getting Started with Jungle Scout webinar. This is a recorded webinar to familiarize new users with all of our tools. So if it feels overwhelming, don't worry. I'm going to give you a lot of resources at the end to give you more details. We host a lot of other live webinars you can join us for in the future, but today's presentation is just to show you everything that your Jungle Scout tools are capable of so you can get the most value from them. I'll show you a list of resources at the end of the presentation to make sure that you're off to a good start using the tools. So the first thing I want to show you when you go into your Jungle Scout account is how to sync your Jungle Scout account with your Amazon Seller Central account. This is really important because it will let you derive the most value from our tools, since a lot of them will only work if you've taken this step. But not to worry, it's really easy to do. Up in the top right corner of your account, you should see this little menu here. If you click on Settings, it'll take you to a screen where you can see a button that says Amazon Settings. Here, my screen looks a little different than yours probably does because I'm using a demo account which has already been synced to Jungle Scout's Amazon account, but there is a nifty little video tutorial that shows you exactly how to do this. It took me about 5 minutes when I set this up, and all you need to do is take something called an MWS token from your Amazon account and put it into Jungle Scout. That'll connect the two, and then you can make use of all the tools I'm going to show you today. One other note is that I'm going to move through all of our tools, but if you don't see some of them, it could be because of the plan that you have. So I'm showing you all the tools available for the highest level of plan that Jungle Scout offers. First, I'm going to start in the product research section because this is where everyone begins their journey selling on Amazon. The nice thing about selling on Amazon is that you don't need to come up with a brilliant new invention and file a patent or pitch it to Shark Tank. You can just find items that are already selling on Amazon and sell them yourself. And with our tool, it's really easy to do so. So up here in the top left corner is a drop-down menu with all the marketplaces we currently support here at Jungle Scout. I'm going to be using the United States because that's where I live and it's what I'm most familiar with. And most of the numbers I'm going to show you are pretty specific to the American marketplace, so you will want to adapt some of these to your marketplace depending on your own research that you do. Hopefully in the future we'll also offer more non-US centric trainings, but for today I'm going to go with the US. If you don't see your country in this list, I suggest picking the one that you're most familiar with culturally, as that'll be the easiest to sell to and probably the easiest to understand in terms of how Amazon works. The nice thing too is that if you're located in North America, your Amazon Seller Central account gives you access to the Mexican, Canadian, and American marketplaces, all from one subscription. And if you're located in the European Economic Area, that's also true of you in any other member states. So with that, I'll choose the US, and then I move over to product tier. This just refers to the size of the products we'll be searching for. The standard box is probably best for beginner sellers because that's anything that can fit in a shoebox, so it'll be the most economical to store in a warehouse and shipped to the end customers. The oversized category could be interesting because there's sometimes less competition, but it can be a little trickier logistically, so I recommend that newer sellers stay away from that. Then for the seller type, there are 3 different kinds of sellers on Amazon, which is essentially a giant marketplace like eBay or Craigslist, but probably just the most well-known. Amazon themselves actually sell their own products under lots of different brands there. You might have seen one called Amazon Basics as you're browsing, which is their collection of basic household items, but they also sell clothes and other products, and I know they have over 400 private labels, so you might actually be buying from Amazon without even realizing it. The other kinds of sellers on there are individual entrepreneurs just like you and me, and they use 2 different fulfillment methods to get those products to the customers. One type of seller is the FBA seller, and this stands for Fulfilled by Amazon, which is Amazon's service where you can send your inventory to their warehouses, they'll divide it amongst their regional distribution centers, and then you'll pay them a fee to pick, pack, and ship all of those to the customers. Your customers can even send the products back to Amazon's warehouse, and you can opt to have Amazon handle the customer service related to returns if you so choose. If you don't think that's in your budget to start with and you have the means to fulfill your orders yourself, you can also search for sellers doing the FBM route, which is Fulfilled by Merchant. I actually started out doing this myself since I have a house here in Texas with a garage where I could store my products for free, and then I just took them to the post office or the UPS store each day myself. The tricky thing about that is that I did have to be here to do that, and so most people do hope to outsource this to a third-party company or Amazon themselves. But usually when I search for products, I leave all 3 boxes unchecked just to find the widest variety of products. On the left side of the screen are the categories drawn from Amazon themselves. I'm going to choose some of the more popular ones that we see our customers use, but you can certainly feel free to choose the ones that you are passionate about or which you have a particular experience with. I always recommend that people do what they know. And certainly when you're playing with this tool, don't just replicate what I'm showing you, otherwise you'll get the same results. It's really important that you try different combinations of categories and different numbers in the filters to try to unearth the best opportunities for you. So over here on the right are some filters. And I won't go through all of these because there are a lot of them, but at the beginning there are a couple I think are important for new sellers to consider especially. The first one is minimum price. And here at Jungle Scout, I recommend that you look for products that are selling for at least 20 to 30 US dollars. And that's just because when you try to sell items for less than that amount, it can be hard to make a healthy profit margin after you account for all the fees you'll pay Amazon, any pay-per-click advertising spend, and other miscellaneous costs. So today I'm just going to put in 25 as my minimum price. You might find in your market that that number is different, but here in the US we found that that's a good starting point. Then we like to gauge the level of demand based on how many sales have occurred in the last 30 days. This box right here that says minimum sales refers to how many units have sold in that window of time. And I like to use 300 sales in a month as my bare minimum to start out with. That represents just 10 units sold per day, which is a really doable goal for beginner sellers. Anything less than 300 units in a month isn't very interesting to me. There is demand, but it's not really enough to warrant all the effort you have to put into sourcing the product and marketing it and getting set up on Amazon. So I'd recommend starting with 300 and actually trying to bump that number a little higher if you want to find items with more demand. We also want to look for products that have low competition, and the way that we gauge competition on Amazon is by the number of reviews that product has received. I like to put the maximum number of reviews at no more than 30 to 50 to start out with. So today I'm going to put in 50. It is true that if the item has more than 50 reviews, you might still be able to compete against them, especially if those reviews are negative. But after that point, we find that it does become pretty difficult to get to that top search result on Amazon. And lastly, I want to show you the LQS, or the listing quality score. This is a score from 1 to 10 that we assign here at Jungle Scout to every product listing on Amazon. 1 is the worst score and 10 is the best. And we take into consideration a lot of different factors, such as how many photos the person is using, if they're using all their keywords effectively, if they're making use of all 5 of the bullet points Amazon offers, and we give them a grade essentially to see how well they're marketing their product. The nice thing about this filter is that if you put in a maximum number like 5 or 6, you can pull up results for products that could be great opportunities to sell, but the people currently selling them are just not marketing them very effectively. And lastly, if you're interested in a certain niche or type of product, you could put that in. So for example, if you're a coffee enthusiast, you could put in coffee. If there are certain words you'd like to exclude, you can certainly put those in as well. Lately, as I'm recording this, we are still in the COVID-19 pandemic, and so I've been excluding words like face shield and face coverings, just because these are trends that will end eventually. And when I search for products, I like to look for things that could have evergreen demand for years to come so I can build a really solid business. So when I click search, it does usually take a little bit of time because it's sifting through millions of product results. But when this table comes up, you can see that it's not arranged in any particular order. You can see all these columns here, and you can sort by any one of those columns. Those columns actually correspond to a lot of the filters that you've picked up here. And so when you scroll through the results, you can see the category, the monthly revenue that product is bringing in. If you hover over this little thing here, it'll show you the potential profit you could make selling this item after the Amazon fees are accounted for. And this shows you a breakdown of fees this seller is paying to Amazon. If you click that, you can actually see here that they are using FBA, so they're paying Amazon to ship this product. They're also paying a referral fee to have their product listed on Amazon. So whether you're fulfilling items yourself or you're having Amazon do it, just by using Amazon's platform, you will pay a referral fee. And then if there are any other miscellaneous costs, you'll see those here. Now, we don't have info about whether they're spending money on other platforms like Facebook advertising or email management software or anything offline. So this is just a rough estimate of the fees you might pay if you were to sell this item on Amazon, but it's still a really good idea to look at this and see if the profit margin is something you would be comfortable with. Lastly, you can come over here and see the reviews and the dimensions of the product as well as the weight so that you could avoid particular products if you're looking for a certain size to ship. So as I go through these results, it's pretty random since I clicked a lot of different categories, but one of the items I often see come up here when I do this search is these no-pull dog harnesses. And if I wanted to look at that product in more detail, this nifty little View on Amazon button will take me right to that product in a new tab. So I can see how this person is selling this item. It looks like they're actually doing pretty well by using all 5 of the bullet points. Their title looks pretty good as well. And while I'm here on Amazon, I wanted to take the opportunity to show you our other tool, the browser extension. This browser extension currently works with both Chrome and now Firefox as well, so whichever browser you prefer, you can have that installed. And the way it works is like this. If I wanted to look into these dog harnesses in more detail, I could put in no pull dog harness. All right, so here on the search results page, when I search for no pull dog harness, if you've got that extension installed in your browser and you're logged in, you can see all these little boxes beneath each product in the search results. And this is really handy for doing some research at a glance when you're just browsing Amazon and shopping for yourself. It allows you to kind of peek behind the curtain, so to speak, at the merchants you're buying from and see how well they're doing in terms of monthly sales, what their daily sales are, their monthly revenue, and when their product was first launched on Amazon. Alternatively, when you're on the search results page, you can also click on the extension itself, and it'll pull up this pop-up that shows you a nice little table with some aggregate information about all these search results on the first page. Now, keep in mind that this data is being pulled in real time from Amazon's search results page, and it is pertinent to only this first page of results. So if you come back and conduct this same search later in the day or a different day of the week, it's very possible that the products you see might have moved around in Amazon search results and the data will be different. This is also slightly different from the product database I was showing you because that pulls information in a different way, so sometimes it takes a little longer for that to populate. The web extension is real time. So here we can see the average number of monthly sales, the average sales rank, the average selling price, and the average number of reviews, as well as an opportunity score, which is just our suggestion of how difficult it might be to break into this niche. When I'm looking at these results, the way I like to analyze this is the average selling price is around that $20 minimum I mentioned earlier. I'd like to see it a little bit higher, but this is a good price to start with. And then I look at the number of monthly sales. And personally, in this column, I like to find cumulative sales of at least 3,000 units in these top 10 results. And as you can see here, there's a lot of demand for these dog harnesses because the first result has almost 40,000 units sold in the last month already. And all of these are also enjoying thousands of units sold per month. So definitely high demand. I go over to the reviews column next and I look at the number of reviews to gauge the level of competition. And my rule of thumb is to try to find at least 3 of these products in the top 10 that have less than 50 reviews. But it looks like with this product, that's impossible since they all have tens of thousands of reviews already. So I probably wouldn't try to sell this product because it's so competitive, but that's just my way of analyzing the results. So when you go back over to the product database, if you wanted to track this product in more detail and watch how it performs over time, you can go over to the end of the row here and click this little plus sign to add it to your product tracker. I've already got some groups of products created since I'm using the demo account, but if you had just started, you could create a new list from scratch right here. And so now I'm going to jump over to the product tracker. Now, when you're looking up products, it's really important that you don't base your decision to sell a product off of just one data point. It's possible that when you pulled up those results, you were looking at a product that had a really great day of sales, or maybe they just weren't doing very well that day. So what you want to do is add products to the product tracker so you can watch their performance over time. You can see at the top, you can create all these tabs to organize your products as you see fit. And if I click on this tennis balls one, you can see we've got several different product listings added to our list. If I expand one of these rows, it shows us a nice little chart that shows the number of units sold each day in the last 30 days. Actually, this view is set to the last 6 months, and I recommend that you spread that view out longer to get the most holistic view of how that item is performing. You'll also find that as you add products to the list, you can expand the group overview. This looks just like that info we saw in the web extension, except now this information is pertinent only to the products we've chosen to add to this particular list. And if you're just starting out and you don't know how many products to track, my recommendation is that you add at least 10 to 20 products that are very similar. So for example, if you were going to sell 3 packs of tennis balls, try to find examples of 3 packs already selling on Amazon so you can compare them apples to apples, and then watch those products for at least 1 month. I like to actually watch them for a little bit longer just to get the best idea of how they're selling over time, but a month minimum is my recommendation. Lastly, in the product research section, we have the Opportunity Finder, which you can see looks very similar to the product database. And a lot of people actually prefer the Opportunity Finder to the product database because when we pull up the results, you'll see that they are not specific products, but they're actually niches or keywords that we could look into in more detail. I've chosen just a couple of random parameters to see what comes up. And so now you can see here that we've got things like Switch, probably Nintendo Switch since that's in video games, a tinsel Christmas tree, we've got an advent calendar. So if you're curious, you could expand this, and what this chart shows you is for all the products on Amazon that are selling when people search for gingerbread house kit, this is the number of units that have sold each month in the last 2 years. The average price is good to look at for the niche as a whole so that you can get an idea if this is even a good category to look into in more detail. I like to see if the price is holding steady or at least increasing over time, and this one is. Same for the search volume. We want to make sure people are actually searching for this product. Unsurprisingly, for this gingerbread house kit, you can see here in the summer months that there's not many searches at all, whereas in the winter months, there's a spike each year. So this product is going to be very seasonal, with that seasonality here in November and December. For beginner sellers, I recommend that you stay away from seasonal products just because it does take a lot of planning and you'll only make money in a very small window of the year. So if you are looking for your first product, I'd recommend finding one with low seasonality with an evergreen demand year-round. But if you were curious and you wanted to see which products were selling when people search for gingerbread house kit, you could click the top products section and this will show you the top products selling on Amazon today that fall under that keyword. And just like with the product database, you can open them on Amazon to look into them in more detail. So speaking of keywords, keywords are everything on Amazon because it's how your potential customers find your product listings. It's really important that you include as many highly relevant keywords as possible to help them find your product. And you can find those keywords by using the keyword section of our tools. Keyword Scout allows you to look for keywords 2 different ways. The first one is you could just type in a keyword for a product you're thinking of selling, and it's smart enough that it will actually suggest thousands of similar relevant keywords that people are already searching for. I chose to use marshmallow sticks because one of the products we sell here at Jungle Scout are these simple bamboo skewers for toasting marshmallows over a campfire. You can see here that the actual word I searched for is only enjoying about 2,400 searches per month, but the word s'mores maker has got 38,000 searches in a month. So depending on the product I'm selling, I might probably prefer using the word s'mores maker over marshmallow sticks just because I'll capture more traffic that way. You can also see if that keyword is trending up or down in the last 30 or 90 days. You can see which categories those keywords fall into, as well as a lot of other information such as suggestions about a pay-per-click advertising bid and how easy or difficult it might be to cause your product to rank higher in the search results by using that keyword. As you can see, this pulled up 1,500 keywords, so I recommend that you do invest the time to look through these keywords, really study how they're performing, and then make your list so that when you begin building your listing on Amazon, you've already got a winning list of keywords to work with. You can see here that just like with the product database, as I start clicking these little checkboxes, this little plus sign appears, which allows me to add those keywords to a keyword list. And since I'm using the demo account, we've already got several keyword lists started, so you can always create a new list from scratch here. The keyword lists themselves look very similar to the product tracker with the tabs at the top so you can organize each keyword as you want to. Some people like to create a list of keywords for their product listing, and then they like to make a separate one for pay-per-click campaigns. But as you can see, this just organizes them all in one nice place so that when it comes time to writing your listing, you can easily import those into it. The Listing Builder tool is the first tool I'm showing you that you do need to sync your Amazon Seller Central account to your Jungle Scout account in order to make use of. So when you've done that, if you've got products selling on Amazon, you can see them listed here and whether they are live or in a draft state. If you haven't got any products yet, you can click on Create New, and you could either pull in existing listings from Amazon, so we've got some ASINs uploaded already, or you could actually draft your listing from scratch within the tool. When you click Next Step, you can choose from your keyword lists here. So I'm going to choose the marshmallow sticks one. If you hadn't created the keyword list yet, you can do so manually here, but I always think it's better to create the list first and then write your listing later. Lastly, it gives us the option to refine that keyword list so we can remove duplicates if we want to. It doesn't help your listing at all to put the same word multiple times. That just takes up valuable real estate that you could use for other relevant keywords. And I also like to maintain phrases just because if people are searching for what's called a long tail keyword, that usually it demonstrates that they have a higher intent to buy the product. And if I wanted to pay for a pay-per-click campaign, it would probably be a little cheaper since that keyword is more specific and therefore has less competition. So once I've processed it, it organizes them in order of either their alphabetical order or the length of the keyword or the search volume. And then once you apply it, we now come to the actual content creator itself. Now, before I show you how to write a listing on Amazon, I did want to make sure everyone understands what a listing looks like. So if I jump over here to this product on Amazon, you can see we've got the title up here at the top, and we also have these 5 bullet points, which are called features. Now, Amazon has recommendations about how to write a good title. They like when people put their brand name first before any other keywords, but they do give you a lot of freedom as to how you organize this information. So my recommendation is that you just include as many relevant keywords as possible, but make it easy to understand, since at the end of the day, it is human beings that will be reading this title in the search results, and we want to make it as easy as possible for them to understand what our product is. We've also got these bullet points down here, and everyone who sells on Amazon has access to these features. This is where you want to describe the details of your item while also weaving in those keywords that you chose in your list. So you can see here in the listing builder that on the left we've got a little dial, as well as some recommendations about how many characters to use in the title and features. And on the left of this column is our list of keywords. If you keep an eye on that list as I begin typing some of those in, like marshmallow, sticks for campfire, you can see it's changing over there. If I put in sticks for s'mores or campfire accessory, you can see that those keywords are actually disappearing from this list, and they're moving down here into the used phrases list. Also, as I type, this needle will go from red to green as I improve my listing, and it will tell me whether I'm using all of those features to their full extent and if I'm using all of my keywords as well. You don't want to just cram these boxes with keywords. You will need to actually write nice marketing prose to convince people to buy your product, but just make sure that you're incorporating those keywords. And at the end, you can either sync it to Amazon or you can copy and paste each of these into your Amazon product listing builder in Seller Central itself. So, lastly, under the keyword section is the rank tracker. This tool is a little bit advanced, but once you've actually been selling on Amazon for a little while, you'll want to track how your keywords are performing. Unfortunately, keywords aren't something that you can just set and forget, since people use language differently all the time, and depending on how people are searching online, you might want to include new keywords or take away the keywords that aren't performing as well. So when we come to the rank tracker, if we choose one of our products, you can see here a chart showing a lot of lines along with the top 10 keywords for this listing. If I hover over each one of these, it gives me a clearer view of this line. And essentially what this line is showing me is whether my product is moving up or down in the search results on Amazon for this keyword. So for roasting sticks, it looks like it's jumping around a little bit. For s'mores box, it is as well. If we scroll down here, we've got another table with all of the keywords in our listing. This shows us the search volume in the window of time that we select up here, which is set to 60 days right now. Also, my favorite column is this one, which shows me the organic rank as well as which page of the search results my product appears on when people are using this keyword. So the goal is to get these numbers as low as possible because we want our product to show up on the first page of search results and in the first or second spot if possible. So you can see here when people are searching for marshmallow roasting sticks, we're showing up in spot number 7 on the first page of search results. Whereas when people are looking for s'mores maker kit, our product is actually appearing on page 3 in spot number 36. So we might want to adjust our PPC bid or even kill that keyword altogether if it's not pulling its weight. So once we found a product that we want to sell, we need to find someone who can make it for us. And with our supplier database, that is easier than ever. You can search for suppliers 4 different ways. The first way is to just stick with this keyword theme we've been using. So if we wanted to look for someone who could make marshmallow sticks, I could put that in here. And then when this pulls up the results, they will be in order of relevance to the product itself. Now, all of this data is being pulled from publicly accessible records here in the United States for any companies that are importing products into America. Unfortunately, we don't have this data for other marketplaces because of how their laws work, but if you live outside of the US, you can still make use of this tool because if a particular factory is selling to an American customer and they're exporting their goods into the United States, it's very likely they can do that for your market as well. You can also use our tool to compare information about that exporter with another website such as Alibaba to get the clearest picture of whether they might be a reliable supplier for your needs. But as you can see here, we've got a factory name as well as how well they might match this search term. This shows us their address and which country they're located in, as well as how many shipments they've made in the last 6 years into the US. We can see who their top customers are here, as well as what kind of products they specialize in, which is good to keep in mind because if we wanted someone who could make bamboo skewers, we probably wouldn't want to work with a factory that's set up to create auto parts or ceramic tiles. We want to make sure we're working with people with a good track record of exports who specialize in that material. So if you expand this view, you can see another chart showing you how many exports or shipments they've made to America over the last 6 years. Another way that we can search for suppliers is by companies that make products similar to our own. If I wanted to sell backpacks, a very famous brand here in the US is JanSport. So when I type in their name, they usually come up first. And so what I can do with the tool is I can actually see who their top suppliers are, as well as how many imports they've made into the US. Especially if you know that a company makes good products and people like those products, they're probably well established with some pretty reputable suppliers, so this would be a great place to start our research for a supplier who could make a similar product for us. If we had been to a trade show or we had been doing some research on a website like Alibaba, we could type in the name of a factory itself. So if I put in backpacks on Alibaba, I'm just going to take one of these suppliers at random. This one says that they've been on here for 12 years, so they've probably got a good history of exports. And also, I like to take off the limited and the company just because almost every supplier in China has that as part of their legal name, so it skews the search results if you include that. If this exporter has actually shipped to the United States, we should see them come up. And I like to usually compare the address here with the one on Alibaba. I like to see who their customers are and if I can find out more information about who they're selling to. But if you needed to contact them, you could just click search for contact info and this will open a new tab with a Google search for that factory. And then lastly, my favorite way to use the supplier database is to spy on your competitors and see who their suppliers are. You can do this by using the ASIN, which is a unique number that Amazon assigns to every product sold on Amazon, including every variant of each product. And you can find that number in a couple of different places. Usually it's up here in the URL, it's this string of letters and numbers. Alternatively, if that's a little bit too messy, you can come down here on the product listing to the product information page, and you can find the ASIN here. So if I copy that and paste it into our tool, if that seller on Amazon has imported into the US since 2014, we should be able to see the results. But sometimes when I run this search on a random product, nothing comes up, and that could be for a couple of reasons, such as maybe they're not selling in the US, or maybe they're importing under a different legal name than the brand name they're using on Amazon. So I might need to do a little bit more digging if I don't see any results, but I love using this feature because if one of my competitors is getting a lot of good reviews and people like the product, that's a sign that they're working with a good supplier, and I might be able to go and approach that supplier to make the same product or a modification for myself. So next up, under the marketing section, we've got a couple of different tools. We have a promotions tool, which allows you to set up discounts and coupons to get some traction at the beginning. One of the ways that Amazon actually chooses where to show your product in the search results is based on your sales velocity. And sales velocity is just selling a lot of products in a short window of time. At the beginning, when you're selling and you don't have any brand recognition, it can be difficult to do that. So if you live in the US or the UK, you can take advantage of this tool, which integrates with another of our websites called JumpSend. And essentially on JumpSend, savvy internet shoppers that are looking for deals can come here and find products on sale. And when they click on one of those products, instead of buying it from JumpSend, when they click request item, it takes them to the Amazon listing, but it gives them a discount code they can use when they check out. So when you use our promotions tool, you can set up a discount. You can choose how many codes total you want to give out. And then when you publish that discount, it actually publishes your product on JumpSend and hopefully allows you to gain that sales velocity to move your product up in the search results. We also just introduced a new feature called review automation, which is great because currently if you want to request a review from a customer on Amazon, you have to go through a very tedious process of going into each individual order, several layers deep on Amazon, and clicking a button to request that review. With our tool, you can set it and forget it by just toggling this little switch on, and then every order that you receive will receive a request for a review. If the customer returns it or you issue a refund, it won't send that, so you don't need to worry about sending a request to an angry customer. You can also see the status of the reviews, whether they're pending or if they've already been sent. And we're hoping to add more utility to this to give you better control over when those reviews go out. But I love this product because it even shows you how much time you've saved up in the top right-hand corner. And you can make sure that every sale you make is helping lead to future sales, since reviews are gold on Amazon. And lastly, our sales and analytics tools are excellent for understanding your business on Amazon. I find that Amazon's backend is a little bit difficult to understand at first, and so our tool can pull your data to show you tables about what your net profit is, what your revenue is, the costs you've incurred for various fees, as well as your goods, how many units you've sold in a window of time, as well as your pay-per-click advertising spend. And it'll give you your net margin as well as your return on investment. The numbers you're seeing here are just some example numbers, but you can also scroll down here and get a further breakdown of each one of those tables. If you wanted to see this on a product by product view, you can click multi-product view, and this will show you all of that information for each SKU that you have linked. You can also jump over here and generate a profit and loss statement if you want to view your numbers a different way. And you can also set all of the information for your products here under the Manage Products section. You can put in the cost per unit sold as well as any shipping costs you incur. And then once you do that, the inventory manager will actually keep track of all of that as well as your sales. And it will tell you whether you're in stock or overstocked. It'll even suggest to you exactly which date you should reorder your product so that you can be sure it's checked into the warehouse on time, as well as how much that will cost you and how much profit you could potentially make from that reorder. This is really helpful because when you're selling on Amazon, if you run out of stock, Amazon can penalize your listing or your account. So it's imperative that you stay on top of your supply chain. And with this tool, that's really easy. And I personally love that it shows you your potential profit, since even after you've been selling for a while, it can always be a little bit stressful placing that order and waiting for a month for it to be shipped via ocean. So seeing what you could earn from that profit is a great motivator to keep going with your business. So that's all of our tools. I know that I moved through this very briefly, but I did want to allow people to leave a message in the chat if you have questions about how this works. I also wanted to share with you some resources to get you started on your seller journey. Over here, my recommendations are that you go into our academy, which I'll show you in just a moment, and watch our product research module. That'll get you started in much more detail than what I could give you today. Begin looking for products that look like good opportunities and add those to the product tracker. Again, my recommendation is that you add at least 10 to 20 products that are really similar to each other and watch those products over at least 1 month before you make any decision as to source that product. And then lastly, make sure that you do connect your Amazon Seller Central account with Jungle Scout to make the most use of our tools. So we've got a lot of other resources to get you started and to keep you motivated throughout your seller journey. The best one is probably the Academy, and you can find that over here in the web app on the left-hand side. If you click on that, this is our video library where we have lots of tutorials, a lot of educational courses about everything related to selling on Amazon. So for those of you who are new, you might be interested in this how to get started selling, or you might want to look at the product research module. If you're a little bit further along, we've got things about how to source products and how to optimize your listing or launch pay-per-click campaigns. We have recorded versions of some of our other live webinars. And you can also find those live webinars here in the Resource Center, which is the little question mark in the lower right-hand corner. Click on Trainings and Webinars. This is where we schedule all of our upcoming ones. You can register for them and often find the replay link for those here. If you're a little bit advanced and you want to learn more about a sort of advanced topic, I highly recommend the Mastermind series where we bring on guest experts to talk about things like sourcing products from Asian suppliers or running pay-per-click campaigns. And lastly, we're always adding content to the Academy, and we're planning to add other content in other languages soon as well, so keep checking back for more videos here. We've also got a YouTube channel where you can find some other kinds of videos where we often host roundtable discussions with our own jungle scouters who sell on Amazon. We've run something called the $1 Million Case Study, which is kind of our own TV show where our CEO, Greg, goes through the entire process of coming up with a product idea, using Jungle Scout's tools to research that, finding a supplier, and then shipping it to an Amazon warehouse, and then hopefully selling that product to $1 million of revenue. We donate all that money to charity, and I actually found Jungle Scout by finding the $1 Million Case Study on YouTube. So if you want to see how an expert Amazon seller would go through this process, I can't recommend that enough. It's really inspiring and shows you step by step exactly how to do this. And then lastly, the Jungle Market is our version of Fiverr or Upwork. It's essentially a pool of freelancers that we have pre-vetted. So these people all have to have expert experience, either selling on Amazon themselves or supporting Amazon sellers. And if you need help with something like product photography or optimizing your listing or just having a coach to see you through the different steps of this process, you can find someone here. The other nice thing is that when you pay them, it goes into an escrow account managed by Jungle Scout, so you can rest assured that it's a secure transaction and you're not just sending your money to a stranger over the internet. I actually used a photographer from our own Jungle Market for some holiday photos for my Facebook ads, so I had a great experience here, and I know that when you're working as a solo entrepreneur, it can be a little overwhelming with all the tasks you have to do, so outsourcing those to a freelancer can be really helpful. So I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us for this webinar. I hope it was helpful for you. Join us for other live webinars there in the Resource Center since we're always adding new content. And I just want to wish you all the very best in your selling endeavors. You can do this. You've got a great team supporting you here at Jungle Scout. Take care and happy selling.